Hi, and welcome back to another AnyRPG Development Livestream. In these videos, you can watch the live development of the AnyRPG Engine, a free and open source role-playing game engine designed in Unity and written in C#. If you don't already have a copy of AnyRPG, you can pick one up from anyrpg.org/downloads in both Unity package and source code format. You can also download A Lost Soul, the free playable game that I work on in these episodes, at the same page. In this episode, we'll be continuing our work on the enemy ground highlight system. In the last two episodes, we showed how to make a simple targeting circle using the free photo editing software GIMP, and then how to apply that to the units. At the end of the last episode, I had a problem where I had a Stack Overflow that had crashed Unity, and I realized that that was basically because I had some reflection damage on my character and reflection damage on the boss, and just created like an infinite reflection loop. So I added in some code to just basically prevent any additional damage from triggering off of a reflection type damage, and now that's solved. And I want to start off this episode by actually showing a new way to make these ground circles in GIMP. I had a lot of issues with the original ground circle system, and that was because we were using a type of projector shader that casts light on the ground. So what I've done is, if we look at the casting light projector here, this is just a big targeting circle when we cast like blizzards and stuff. We can tint the color, and we're using just a white circle, and it basically tints it to whatever that color is. But the problem is that you lose a lot of brightness, so it basically becomes invisible if there's another light on the ground. And what I've done is I was playing around with different types of projector shaders. There's actually only two of them, and I ended up settling on the multiply projector shader. And I'll just show the difference there. We'll just load up the game, and then basically you'll be able to see a pretty big difference between the two types of projectors. And then what we'll do is I'll demonstrate in GIMP how to make a proper projector graphic for this type of shader, because it's actually a little bit of a different method than you need for the light projector. And then we'll add in some functionality to give bosses like really cool targeting circles compared to the other types of characters. So let's just load up our tester here. Okay, so now you can see that the zombie has like a really, really dark red circle around him. If you were following around along in the last episode, you saw that his circle basically used to disappear when it was on the path, and that's a difference in this other type of shader. Now, it still suffers from some issues, like it's going to be combining the color with the grass around it, but I think overall the effect is a lot better because pretty much no matter where you go, you're not losing it. The other problem was with the other projector. Basically, you couldn't see anything on a yellow unit, so now you can actually see the bunny when we target him, and that's actually a yellow projector underneath him as well, but once again the color is getting combined. In order to actually do a nice proper projector where you're not basically losing the color, you have to have a custom shader, and so at some point in the future I'll probably be adding something like that, but for now, that's a little out of scope of what I want to do. So let's get started on the GIMP portion of this. So the difference with the projector light shader is I made a mistake in the last episode when I imported these things. Basically, you can't have an actual transparent graphic if you want to use that type of shader. You pretty much have to put it like a black background on it and make the thing white like this. And for the new type of shader that I'm using, the one that shows up a little better, what you actually want is the exact opposite. You want like a white background and then a color on top of it, and it just renders the white part of it as transparent, unlike with the other shader where basically the black part of it is transparent. So let's make a little bit of a cooler targeting circle. I want to make it a little fancier. So what I want to do instead of this is I want to have a circle that sort of starts here. It's cut out like basically 1/4 of it, and it's a 3/4 circle without the line across here and just the sort of bump up at the top. And then for bosses, we'll have like an extra ring around the inside that has like a purple color to sort of indicate that this guy is like extra strong, pretty much. So I've got GIMP open here, and what we're going to do is go File, New. We're going to create the image 2000 by 2000 pixels, and under the advanced options, we're going to fill with transparency. We are going to put a background in these, but I like to work with just transparency when I'm starting. The reason we're doing 2000 by 2000 pixels is because basically we want nice even numbers, and we're going to have the graphic basically 1000 pixel diameter, and so it'll be really easy to do the math to get the hitbox size right on these. So let's start with making some guides in the image. So new guide by percent, horizontal 50%, and then new guide by percent, vertical 50%. Then we want to take the circle tool and we want to make it expand from center. We'll put in our crosshairs at 1000 by 1000 and then make a circle that is exactly 1000 by 1000. So this will basically be the mob's hitbox size, and I'm just going to keep the transparent background. We're going to add a new layer right here, make sure it's filled with transparency, and then we are going to take our selection here and we are going to give it a border of 20 pixel, and it's going to be a smooth border, and hit OK. Now we're going to make this into the actual circle, and that's good for that layer. We'll start a new layer, transparency. I'm just going to name this the full circle. And now we'll go up to the next layer. We will go select none. We're going to hit the rectangle tool, make sure it's expanding from center, and I'm going to do a rectangle about 400 by 400. So I'll hold down the shift key to make sure it's perfectly square and set the size to 400 by 400. I am then going to fill the inside of it with white, and then I am going to rotate it 45 degrees. So let's go to Layer, Transform, Arbitrary Rotation, Angle 45 degrees, and Rotate. Now I am going to anchor that layer and rename it Diamond. I'm going to add a new layer to the image, fill it with transparency, and I'm going to hit the magic selection tool and go down to the diamond layer, select the diamond, go up to the fill layer, and now what I want to do is go select and give it a border 20 pixels. I'm going to take the fill tool and fill that border with white. And that should be good enough. Next, I want to go select none. We're going to hide the diamond, and we're going to add a new layer, also transparency. We're going to call this one, the old one, Diamond Outline. And for the new one, I want basically a black version of this thing. So we're going to swap the fill around to black. We're going to go to the diamond outline. We're going to hit the magic select tool and select the diamond outline. Then we're going to go back to this one that we want to make black. Make sure the fill tool is selected and fill that with black. Then I'm going to go select none and call this one the black diamond. And we're going to be using this black diamond basically as sort of a cutting guide here. So I'm going to hold down Control, zoom the mouse wheel to zoom this thing in. And basically I want to pull this thing up until I reach a point where this diamond intersects exactly with the white line right here. And basically that'll be my cutting guide for where I'm going to cut this circle right here off. Okay, next we want to pull the white diamond up because the white diamond is actually the one that we're going to use for the color. And we'll just pull that up till it matches exactly the position of the black diamond. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I want to make another diamond that'll serve as my cutting guide for this part of the image down here. So to do that, I will add a new layer to the image, fill it with transparency, pull it up to the top here, and I'm going to do a rectangle, and this rectangle is going to, holding down Shift, pull that out. It's going to be 1000 by 1000, so it's the exact same size as the circle, so it should cleanly cut like a 45 or a chunk out of it. There, now it's coming out at the exact size. Okay, good. So we're going to make this 1000 by 1000 there. And then what we want to do is fill this. Doesn't really matter what color, so we'll just fill it with white for now. Actually, you know what? I'm going to fill it with black because I want this to be a cutting guide. And then we're going to take the layer and we are going to perform an arbitrary rotation on it and rotate it 45 degrees. Now we will anchor that to make it permanent, and then we're going to grab the drag tool and we're going to drag it down until it perfectly hits the center of the image here. And now we can use this as a cutting guide to cut out a chunk of this circle right here. So now that we have all of our cutting guides lined up, let's start working on the image here. So I'm going to take the full circle. I am going to duplicate it, and we're just going to call this big black D. The full circle copy, we're going to call it cut circle. And what we're going to do is take the magic selection tool, go to the black diamond, select the diamond, go down to the cut circle layer and go edit cut. Now if we hide the, no, that didn't work. Edit cut, no, it did work, perfect. I just had the other original circle visible. Okay, good. So now we have a perfect 1/4 of this thing cut out. Now we want to basically cut out this section right here, the inside of this image. So do that, let's see. I want to duplicate. First, actually, we're going to go select none. Then I'm going to duplicate the cut circle layer here. And then I want to go to the black diamond, select it, and then I want to go to the cut circle copy, hide the black diamond and the white diamond, go select, invert, and now we have this little box in the middle here cut, and we have the outside here. So let's see. If I go edit, cut, I'm going to remove the entire circle, and that's not what I want. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to manually brush out this stuff. Whoops, okay, so I want to Control Z to get that circle back. Perfect, okay. Now I'm going to basically just use the brush here to cut out the middle of that. Okay, perfect. Now I can turn the white diamond outline back on. I'm then going to duplicate the white diamond outline. I'm going to take the regular cut circle, select none, magic select, oops, get on the right layer first. Magic select the circle. Then I want to go selection, invert, then go back to the diamond outline here, turn on the eraser, and erase everything down here. Now I can make the cut circle invisible and turn on the cut circle copy, and I have a perfect circle going into a triangle. Okay, good. So now this is the shape that I want to use for my targeting circle. So what I'm going to do is basically go to Layer and New from Visible. I'll move that up to the top, and I'm going to call this Outline. So now we can select none, and what I want is basically a feathering effect. So I'm going to make a duplicate of this layer, hide the original one. I want to select that. I believe I want to invert the selection and then go to the gradient tool and let's see if I can get my gradient to work properly here. So I think we want to choose background color there. So now I've got basically a nice targeting circle. So that looks good. Let's go select none. And then I want to make a duplicate of this layer. And for some reason, the first duplicate of this never has the actual outline. So we're going to duplicate it again. All right, now we want to cut out all the extra stuff on the outside of this. So we need to make a selection that'll allow us to do that. To do that, I want to take the outline right here and magic select it. And then let's see, I basically want to get this cutout section of the circle added to this selection right here. So what's a good way to do that? Let's see, if I take my big black diamond and I make it visible, and I go select none, and I magic select the diamond, then I've got this bit right here. Then if I go to my full circle layer and unselect the diamond, copy the full circle, and then let's see, if I fill this with black, now I have a selectable part of that. And I don't know if I can add that. Then let's do select none, magic select the black part of this right here, go to the outline layer right here, hold down shift and add this entire thing. Good. So now I have just the outline of this as one solid selection. Perfect. So now I want to basically duplicate that, and actually no, I want to add a new layer which is transparent, and I'm just going to fill that layer with white. Perfect. And now I have the perfect circle. Okay, good. So now that I have a nice outline of just that circle with the full 3/4, basically what I want to do is I want to make this top one visible again. And let's see, how do I want to do this here? We want to go back to here. Duplicate this and make another layer right here. And then select invert. Okay, so now if we go select none, I have a full white circle. Good. So now I can select the entire circle here, make the outline copy visible, and then go select, invert, edit, cut, and now I have removed everything that I don't need. And I've got a nice targeting circle that's feathered inward. And it's got like this sort of solid line. You can't really see it. Actually, I think what we want to do is move that over top. Still doesn't matter. Okay, good enough. Perfect. So now we actually have our targeting circle. So next, we need to make some colored versions of this that are going to work with let's choose foreground color, that are going to work with Unity. So we're going to take this fill right here. We're going to call this the white background. We'll add a new layer to the image, choose background color because that's currently black, and we will call this one black background. And what I'm noticing right now, that inner fill right here, it goes actually way too far in. We want this thing to basically be like sort of hollow in the center. And it's totally not. It's not as visible when you're looking at it on a transparent background, but when you actually put in some color, it's quite visible. So to do that, let's actually create a new gradient here. So we'll go select none, and then we're going to select this shape right here. We'll create a new layer. Whoops, Control Z. We want that new layer with transparency. And then we'll go select, invert, and we'll do the gradient again. Setting foreground color. And see, it looks really good right here, but as soon as you put the background on it, let's take a look at that other one for a sec and just compare it. The other one is way bigger. So I think this one's actually okay. Okay, so let's leave that. We will go select none. Then we will duplicate, no, delete the duplicated layer. We will duplicate that layer. And then we want to take this selection right here, go back to the fill layer, select, invert, edit, cut, remove the mask, and now that looks a lot better. Now we've got a nice sort of empty space in the center there. Okay, so I'm going to call this, let's see, fill final, and we're going to call this one outline final. We're going to move both of those up to the top because now we've got this exactly the way that we want it. Okay, so we're going to go select none, and then we want to do layer, new from visible. And we're going to call this combined negative. And then we want to go colors, invert. Now we have the white background that we need for Unity. And finally, we can start basically colorizing this thing. Actually, you know what? Let's go Control Z. We're actually going to duplicate the combined negative because this is the proper color. Now on this color, we're going to go color, invert, and now we've got the right color that we need for Unity. Okay, good. So then this one won't be combined negative. It'll just be, whoops, combined. See if I can actually get this text to change here. It will be called combined black and white. Next, what we want to do is we want to create some colored layers off of this to get different types of targets. So let's duplicate this. We're going to need a bunch of them. So call this one red. Call this one blue. Call this one green. Call this one orange. And call this one yellow. And finally, we will need a gray. Okay. That's good. So now what we want to do is take the red layer, make it the only visible one here, and we want to go colors, map, color exchange, from color black to color red. Okay, then set all the thresholds to the maximum, and we have a nice red targeting circle. We can do the same thing for blue. Go to the blue layer, go colors, map, color exchange, from black to blue. Set all the thresholds up, and we've got a nice blue targeting circle. Do the same thing for green. Highlight the green layer, colors, map, color exchange. Whoops, we want to go from black to green, Set all the thresholds up. And now we've got a nice green targeting circle. For the orange, same thing. Colors, map, color exchange from black to an orange here is 255, 125, 0. That looks very yellow. We can do 165, 0. You know what the problem is? What happened there? Okay, 0 to 255. Let's try that again. 255, 1650. There we go. That's orange. This is the orange that we're using in the game, basically. So, actually, just a second. I think we're using 125 in the game. Yeah, we are. I like that orange better. Okay, 255, 125, 0. So we'll hit OK. Pull those thresholds up. And now we've got a nice orange circle. For yellow, we can't do directly yellow, and there's a reason for that. It's because bright yellow actually doesn't show very well in the game. So we'll have to do something that's kind of darker yellow, actually a lot closer to orange. So we're going to do map, color exchange, map from black to, and click on the 255 here, set this to 255 and 165. Basically, this is actually kind of an orange, but yellow will not show up well at all on top of green. It will be completely invisible. So we're going to use this color instead for the yellow one. Set all the thresholds up and hit OK. So basically orange is this dark one here, and then yellow is this kind of lighter one here. And then finally we'll do gray. So colors, map, color exchange, and we want to map black to gray. So in this case, let's see here, 0 to 100, so it's going to be 50, 50, 50, and perfect, we got gray. Click OK, set all the thresholds up, and OK, and now we have our gray targeting circle. So now we want to make basically some boss targeting circles. Because these ones are fine like for the regular enemies, but for the bosses we want them to be a little more special. So to do that, what I want to do is basically create a secondary circle on the inside of the main circle. So we'll go back down to the bottom here, turn on the main full circle, and I want another circle. Basically I'll have like a 20 pixel space and then another circle starting 20 pixels away on the inside. So since the border grows 10 pixels out, we want this to be 10 pixels smaller than 1000. For the 20 pixel space, that'll be 30 pixels smaller, and then an additional 10 pixels for the border to feather out. So we want 40 pixels smaller than 1000. So we want 960 as our radius. So we will, Control Z, not duplicate that layer. We'll just create a new layer on top with transparency. And we will start from the center at 1000 by 1000 and pull this thing out until it is, or has a 9. Wow, that feels like it's more than, okay, so if this is 1000, we're already at 964. And this border was only supposed to be 20 big. You know what I think? Wow, 960. Okay. I feel like it made a 40 pixel border, not a 20 pixel. Okay, so if that's 960, then just to keep the visual, I guess we want to go down maybe to about there, 820. Okay, let's try that, 820. So then we want to select, make it a border, 20 pixels. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I think I like that. I think that's about a nice spot for it. So same thing, fill it with a paint bucket right here. And then we're going to select none. We are going to call this one the small circle. We're going to duplicate the small circle layer. We want to basically make a cutout of it. So we're going to turn the black diamond back on. We are going to magic select Control Z. We're going to go to the black diamond layer. We're going to magic select the diamond. We're going to turn the diamond off, go back down to the small circle copy, and go edit cut. Good. That gets that out of the way. Now we're going to take out the full circle. We're going to go select none. And this one is the small circle cut. Now we want to take the small circle cut here. We want to select the shape of it, make a new transparent layer. Then we want to go select invert, I think, then go back to this bit here. Perfect. And now we have a nice outline. So now we want to go select none. We want to duplicate that layer. The first duplicate never works, I think. All right, and then we want to duplicate it again, remove that, and now we can take this outline right here and get rid of the outside stuff. So to do that, we will go back to the small circle layer. We will select the small circle. We will duplicate the layer. We will invert the selection, go to the paint bucket tool, paint some black in the middle, swap that, paint some white in the middle, go select none, then magic select the entire thing, remove it, then we want to go back to fill 2, go select invert, remove the visual of the small circle, and go edit cut. Perfect. So now we have the inner circle. So I'm going to call this one inner circle. We can go select none, then pop in the black background to see how that looks. It's not too terrible. Now what we want to do is we want to make this inner circle for the bosses. So I'm going to take the small circle cut, I'm going to move it up over top of the inner circle. Then I am going to, let's see what's the best way to do this is going to be. Let's remove the black background from this. Duplicate this image. Pull it up to the top. And go layer color, just colors, invert, Control Z. We actually want to go layer new from visible, and we will call this inner circle white. Good. And now we want to take this inner circle white and go, actually I think we can just directly do the color exchanges here. So let's see, here's the gray one, and then we've got this inner circle white there. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So we'll take the inner circle white and I will duplicate that, and we will call this one inner circle violet. And now we want to do the color exchange on it. So let's see if I can just do colors, map, color exchange. We will be mapping white to violet. So violet is a combination of full red and full blue. It's very violet looking. We're going to hit OK. We're going to set all of our thresholds up here. And now we've got a nice violet inner circle. So I'm going to hit OK. And now what I want to do is basically overlay that violet inner circle onto the red inner circle. It's not exactly the effect that I was hoping for. Let's see. Let's try a slightly different version of this violet inner circle here. We'll take out the red here and we will go back to the small circle cut copy. We will magic select it and add a new transparent layer above it. In the transparent layer, we'll go select and let's feather this thing . See if feather by 100 pixels works. And then I want to take the paint bucket and let's just try painting violet directly onto it. That's kind of cool. That's a glowy violet circle. Let's go select none. I think that might be a little too feathered, but let's turn the red back on. Yeah, I think that's a little too feathered for what I'm looking for. So we'll just take this one, call it too feathered violet. We'll go back to the small circle copy here. We will select it. We'll make a new layer, and then I want to feather this thing this time by only, let's say like 20 pixels. Control Z, paint bucket, and select none. Ooh, that's a lot better. I think I like that one a lot better. Okay. That's not bad. We are almost there. There's one more thing that I need to do, and I think we'll actually be good for this. I think it would actually even be cool if this was like an even smaller circle, like way inside here perhaps. But let's go layer, new from visible. We'll take out all these old layers here. Now I want to actually make a selection with the black diamond here and just cut out the entire back of this thing right here. So edit, cut, Control Z, take out the diamond, turn on the white background, make sure we're still on this one again, edit, cut. And select none. That's a little more like what I'm looking for. Let's just zoom out and take a look at that. I'm just going to save that. And what I want to do is basically make a version of this with that inner circle being much smaller. So let's take out the white background, take out all that stuff, and start on a new transparent layer. And just for reference, I will keep the original full circle and the small circle to remind myself how much smaller I want the new inner circle to be. On this new layer, we'll start that again at 1000 by 1000, and we'll pull out the new inner circle, and I want it actually like about here. We will go select and border, and I actually want border style feathered. We'll hit OK and paint bucket this thing violet. Actually, you know what? I want a smooth border because I don't want to actually feather it until I cut the other one out. So Control Z and select and border, and we're going to set this to smooth instead, and 20px, and hit OK. Then we'll paint it black. And then select none. Now we want to make a cutout version of it. So we'll turn our black diamond back on, select the diamond, go back up to that circle, duplicate it, and edit, cut. Now if we make the diamond invisible and make that circle invisible, we have a 3/4 circle right here, which is much more, I think, closer to where I want this thing to actually show up. Okay, good. So next we're going to zoom in a little bit here and get rid of the small circle, get rid of the full circle, and let's select the new one. Actually, we're going to do select replace mode. There we go. And now I want to go select feather the selection by 20 pixels, hit OK. Add a new transparent layer, make the black invisible. Whoops, paint this thing violet. Perfect. Now I have my new violet layer. So let's turn the red back on. That's not too terrible. I think I want to feather the violet inward as well. So to do that, we're going to duplicate the violet layer. No, we are going to delete that. Make a new transparent layer. Selection invert. Grab the gradient tool. We want the opposite. No, select invert is correct. Yeah. Hey, Epic Spire. Yeah, I'm just playing around with it. I had this sort of image in my mind of what I wanted to do, but the GIMP thing takes some getting used to. Okay, this purple is totally feathering the wrong way. I think I actually want to duplicate this layer. And then I think I want to actually try the gradient now. Let's see. No, Control Z and select invert. No, Control Z. Select invert. Oh, no wonder. I think foreground color. Nope. Yeah, yeah, it's there's a lot of playing around with it to get it to do what you want. Sometimes I have a friend who's really good at this stuff. He could do this in like 2 seconds. Um, yeah. So let's see. I'm gonna magic select actually this thing right here, and then select invert, and then I want to try the gradient again. Wow, see, yeah, that's interesting. That worked perfectly. This is exactly what I want, but on the 3/4 one. There we go. Woo, got it. Okay, finally. I don't know why that wasn't working the first time. Okay, awesome. So now this is exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, good. So we want to take this, duplicate it, then we want to take the layer, select none, and then I want to take the inner circle, if I can find the full one, the small inner circle. No, we want the even smaller inner circle. I think I may have lost the small inner circle. Okay, so I think this is actually the closest thing I had to the small inner circle. Why don't we magic select no, let's do select light colors. No, right, because I actually have to be on this layer. Okay, that's better. That's what I want. Now select, invert, paint bucket, fill hole selection. That's not what I want. You know what, I'm just going to do this the cheap way. I'm just going to like paint this thing in. Okay, good. So now I can magic select that. I have the selection that I want. Perfect. Now I can go back to this layer, turn that off, turn this one on. Excellent. And we want to do select, invert, and finally edit, cut. Yeah. And now I can pop in the red. Select none. And yeah, actually, I think adjusting the layer opacity is going to be a good thing here. And then let's make a duplicate of this layer. And then I want to do basically a diamond cut on it. So we will take this selection tool, select the diamond, then go back to our new visible layer and go Edit, Cut. Select None. Still a little bit harder than I was hoping for. So I think actually for the inner circle, I don't want basically the feathered version of it. I think I pretty much just want that, and then make it purple. I think that'll look a lot better. Yeah, there we go. You know what? I think I'm good with that for now. Okay, good. So this is going to be the boss one. So File, Layer, New from Visible. So now we want to basically export all of these things. And to do that, we will go File, Export As, and then go find our Unity project here and go to Assets, no, Unity Projects, AnyRPG, Assets, AnyRPG Engine, Images, UI, and we will save this one as the ground focus target 3/4, like 34. Red. No, this is, we'll call this red boss actually, because this is the boss one. Let's export that. And then we want to remove those. And export the gray one. Just make sure nothing else is visible here. So File, Export As 3/4 gray. File, Export As 3/4 yellow. File, Export As 3/4 orange. File, Export As 3/4 green. File, Export As 3/4 blue. And File, Export As 3/4 red. Okay, all right, so now let's go actually put these in the game. To do that, we'll just let Unity import them all. And we want to make sure that all these new 3/4 ones, blue, gray, green, orange, red, red boss, and yellow, are set to wrap mode clamp. Otherwise they will repeat. Set the compression to none. And let me just make sure there's nothing else. I don't want to generate border MIP maps on these either. Okay, good. So now I have a bunch of targeting circles I can use. So what I will do is make materials for them. So I have a bunch of projector materials here. And for the projector gray, I'm just going to choose ground focus target 3/4 gray. For the projector green, and remembering to use projector multiply because these have the white backgrounds, I'm going to choose the 3/4 green. And for the orange, we will choose the 3/4 orange. For the red, we'll choose the 3/4 red. For the yellow, we'll choose the 3/4 yellow. Now I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate this, and we're going to make a new one called AnyRPG Focus Light Projector Red Boss. And we'll choose the red boss. And I don't think I've made a blue one yet, so I'm just going to Control D to duplicate that and make the blue one. Choosing the ground focus target 3/4 blue. Okay. Now what we want to do is basically make a way to actually use those. And I have sort of like not a very good method right now that I sort of hacked together while I was testing this, where I just basically have a gray, green, orange, red, and yellow. But this isn't very extensible. What we want is for the user to be able to configure like a map for these so that he can choose pretty much any projector corresponding to any color returned by the faction system, and we want the faction system to be extensible enough that the user can define their colors in that as well. So what we want to do here is actually make a dictionary. It's a map of colors to projectors, because unfortunately, in order to actually get the projector to show on the ground, we can't specify the color up here because this projector light is just too weak and all the other lights in the scene override it till it becomes invisible. So because we're using projector multiply, that's why we actually had to make like hard-coded versions of all of these little projector targets. So let's go ahead and do that. That's going to require a new class. It's going to be basically like a map of colors to projector materials. So to do that, we'll go look in our scripts, and in the game manager, we got a bunch of nodes of types. So I'm just going to Control D to duplicate any existing node. You know what? This node is not one of the right ones, actually. Let me just delete that for a second. Okay, under scripts, I'm just going to search for node because I have some specific nodes that are already set up for use in the inspector. We'll just wait for Unity to compile here. And I want to search in the scripts directory. . . quest node. Yeah, perfect. Quest node will do. So I'm just going to duplicate quest node, and we're going to call this one a projector color map node. We'll move it over into the game manager here and double click on it to open it up and call this public class projector color map node. And basically the only thing it needs is just system.serializable, and this isn't a mono behavior, so it doesn't need to inherit from anything. The projector color map node will have a private color, and let's see, this is going to be returned by the faction color. We're just going to call this actually source color. We really don't care where it comes from, whether it comes from factions or not. And by default, this is just going to be a new color 32 that's white. And then we need a material. So in our system configuration manager, this is where we had our projector materials here. So we're just going to call this projector material. And that's basically all that this thing needs. So we're just going to quick actions and refactoring and encapsulate those two properties here. And Control S to save that. Now we want to go into our system configuration manager, and instead of having all those, we will make a new serialized field, and this is going to be a private list of projector color map node, and this will be called our projector color map, and actually it's going to be our target focus projector color map, because we may have other different types in the future. So this is a new list of projector color map node. And now we should be able to actually see these in our inspector. So we'll just let that compile. Okay, we'll go to our Lost Soul game manager, and now we've got a map. So we need to make some elements for that. So our gray is 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, and 1. And that will map to the focus light projector gray. Then we can just get rid of that other one so that we remember we've done it already. Next, we want to do the green, so we're just going to map full green to the focus light projector green. Then we can get rid of that. And next we want to do the orange. So our orange is 255, 125, 0, 1, 255. And we will map that to the projector orange. Then we can get rid of the projector orange there. And next we want to do red, so source color 255, 255 red. and we will map that to the projector red. We can get rid of the projector red there, and then we want to do source color, and in this case we want yellow, so full red, full green, and map that to projector yellow. Then we can get rid of yellow focus projector, and we can apply that to the game manager prefab, and object reference not set to an instance of an object. Well, that's odd. I don't know what Unity thinks is not set to something. Why don't we go to Layout AnyRPG and go back to the console and see if it lets us. Huh. Yeah, okay, so I have no idea what Unity is doing right there. Let's go ahead and just get rid of these other ones anyway here. Save that. And now we need to basically write some code to use this color map instead. So to do that, we'll want to expose it. So we will take this thing, right click on it, quick actions and refactoring, encapsulate field, and go find where it was exposed. Then we can get rid of all of those values right there, and let things compile. Unity still doesn't want to apply that, so we'll just go focus on the code for now. So when we set this controller up, we make a dictionary, and what we'll need to do is something a little different. So we'll want to run for each, and this will be a, let's see, if we return from a dictionary, do we get a list of key value pairs? No, we're going to get a list of nodes. Okay, so what we want is our color map, projector color map node in our system configuration manager .my instance .my focus projector color map. And we will basically set the color dictionary based on the color map node dot my source color equal to the color dictionary equal to the color map node dot my projector material. And then we can get rid of all these hard-coded ones here. And now we will have made a dictionary so that we can do lookups. Whenever we do a faction check, we'll get a color back, and then we can look up in our dictionary what our projector material we should apply because of that. So let's let that compile, see if there's any issues here. Looks like we've got one. So in this one, we want the default one. We don't have the concept of a default anymore because we don't have these hard-coded gray ones. So let's see what's the best way to deal with that. You know what? I think in the default case, I think we're actually just going to show like the regular projector. Why don't we just do that? It's not going to be very accurate, but whatever. So this is my default casting light projector because we actually do have a default casting light projector. That's kind of hard-coded. Okay. That's good. That should get rid of that error. And now that everything compiles, we should see all these fields disappear. And maybe it'll let us apply this to the game manager now. Nope. Okay, Unity, I don't know what you're doing, but apparently you're going to make me go in and do this stuff all manually again. So let's try opening up the game manager here, setting our color map to 5. Actually, you know what? I guess first I probably want to go in here and maybe just revert this. Okay, good. So now it's using the defaults. Let's just save the scene here. I really don't know what it's doing. We'll hit open again. We'll hit open again. We'll go all the way down to the bottom. We'll set our source color. So once again, we're going to do, if it lets us do this, we're going to do red. And this is going to be the projector red. We'll do green. And this will be the projector green. We will do yellow. And Unity basically is automatically closing this window on me, so I have to drag like one of these things at a time here. Okay, then we're going to choose projector yellow. And next we want to do orange, which is 255 in our case. $125. And 255 on the alpha. And we will choose the projector orange for that color. And finally we want to do gray. So we'll set this to 0 to 1, 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. And 1. Okay, so we've got that in the main game manager now, and finally we've got it out here. And let's press play and see if that's working. Okay, great. So it looks like we've got our 3/4 thing working. My guy flips around. He's got like sort of an open space behind him. If I click on Invincible from the Sunsworn, he gets a nice green targeting projector there. Looks pretty cool. I can go over to our traveling vendor here. And our traveling vendor showed up with a default one. And what that means is that the color didn't map properly. So let's just go take a look at that. Our source color here for yellow looks okay. I might have to switch it to 255. That wouldn't really make any difference though. That's the exact same thing. It's just how it's representing it. Let me just see here. When Unity does yellow, okay, that's the difference. Unity is not doing 255, 255.1. It's doing a slightly different version of it, 10.92, 0.016. Okay, so in this case, we're going to go back to the 1 values, 0.92. Oh, you know what? Let's Control Z to revert that, and then we're just going to open this up and do this directly in the game manager again here. So this will be 0.92 and 0.016. Okay, we'll try that. And just see if that's actually the color that it's returning for yellow. All right, so let's go over here, find our vendor again. No. No, it is not, apparently. So we're still showing the default there, which means that either this is not accurate or something else is happening. So let's just write a debug here. Dictionary did not contain color plus something. And in here we will do material color dot toString, and that'll return a nicely formatted thing, and it's just going to be setting to default casting projector. And let's figure out what color it's returning when we click over the vendor by looking at that debug message. Because in the actual faction color code, we're actually telling it to return color.yellow. So we'll go over to the vendor, we'll click on him. Ah, look at that. So Unity's web page was off by 1 decimal point. The color is 0.922, not 0.92. So we'll unpause the game here. We will open up the game manager prefab once more. We'll click on this and set it to 0.922. Because apparently that makes a difference. Let's save that and press play, and hopefully now we'll actually see the proper yellow thing underneath the neutral character. Oh, okay. Dictionary did not contain color 1, 0.922, 0.0161. So, what's going on there? 1, 0.922, 0.016. And 1. Okay. That's really interesting. I think I want to know what's happening here. So let's just see when we're adding to the dictionary. What it's adding there, because it should be adding the right color. So let's just save that. And try that again. I don't know if there's maybe like some rounding error happening. Okay, let's look at our messages here. So we added RGBA 1.00, 0.922, 0.016, 100. So it definitely exists in the dictionary. Now we click on this guy over here, and it tells us that the dictionary did not contain color. 1 0.922 0.0161. Hmm. Um, I don't really know what to do about that because very clearly, according to these debug messages, this stuff matches. So unless there's like some weird decimal place precision thing that Unity's doing, I can't see any reason for yellow to not be properly found in the color dictionary. Um, I don't know, let's write a for each loop here and just print all the keys in the dictionary. All right, so we'll run that again. Okay, so this, yeah, I honestly, I have no idea what Unity is doing. Dictionary contains key RGBA 1 0.922 0.161. Dictionary did not contain RGBA 1 0.922 0.0161. So apparently Unity is incapable of comparing colors properly. Hmm. Okay, so I think maybe what's going to be easier to do is probably make this a list of strings then. Since apparently Unity can't compare yellow, why don't we store that string representation of that? And that should be impossible for it to somehow mess up. So we're going to store that as colormap.mySourceColor. Let's see if we can find, let's get hash code. I think we have to use color utility here. Do we have color utility dot to HTML string RGBA for color node dot my source color. And then when we perform the lookup, we will pretty much do the exact same thing. So this is going to be, whoops, Control Z. We'll do string here. And contains key basically to RGBA on the material color. Okay, and then finally here to RGBA on the material color. Okay, let's try that. I think maybe we'll have some better luck with string comparison than we did with not string comparison. Perhaps it was actually trying to compare like the instance of this color with the instance of the other one. I think that might be what happened there. So yeah. Okay, so here I guess we want to go to RGBA color.gray. Okay. Let's try that and see if we get better color comparisons. So we'll run over here. We'll click on our vendor. Oh yeah, there we go. Yep. So I think it was basically just comparing instances. Let's kill this guy and just make sure that his square turns gray. Okay. So he's showing nothing right now. And he should actually have a gray highlight underneath him. Just making sure the projector is working. We have green, we have yellow, but we do not have gray. So let's check Unity color dot gray. Let's see what its RGB values are. Yeah, that's exactly what I have in there, 0.5, 0.5, 0.51. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Let's save all that, and in here, oh, you know what? It's because I haven't set the material yet. Everything was fine, but I totally forgot to do that. So we're going to go open up the game manager and set that to projector material gray. All right, that's better. Now pop out of the game manager, pop back up here, save everything, clear that. We've got some issues here. Let it compile. Okay, good. Let's try this again. So press play. All right, so we will nuke this zombie. And that's better. Now we have a nice gray circle underneath the zombie when he's dead. Perfect. Okay, so next up, we're going to go do boss stuff, because that's why we started this whole thing in the first place, was so that we could go give our boss a special circle compared to all of the other mobs. So to do that, we will go jump on our tiger mount and wander over to somewhere near our boss here, trying not to get aggroed on the way. Okay, so we're going to save this, and now we need to actually give our boss a way to have his own circle. So what we want to do then is we pretty much want to give our boss the exact same kind of color map that we do here, and make it like an override color map. So I'm going to take this serialized field, and we're going to add it to another object, basically. We have unit toughness, And this is going to be in, I believe, resource profiles, unit toughness. Here it is. So we have unit toughness. And for any particular unit toughness, we've got a bunch of multipliers, but we should also have an override map. And this will be the focus projector override map. And we will quick actions and refactoring and encapsulate field and make a property for it. So let's go back to our skeleton warrior, who's our boss, and we look at our skeleton warrior unit, and we can see that somewhere he's got character stats, and that's going to give him a unit toughness. He's probably actually getting his unit toughness from his unit profile if it's not set directly on him. So let's just see if he's got a unit profile somewhere. He doesn't. Oh, you know what? That's why this guy was so easy to kill. Let me just jump into the game and confirm something. I don't think I actually gave the skeleton a toughness. I think I removed it at some point and haven't put it back in. So basically, if the skeleton spawns with like 1700 hit points, then I'll know that the skeleton is way too weak. So let's run over here. Skeleton is level 19, and he is spawned with 1900 hit points, which is exactly what you'd expect from a level 19 that is standard difficulty. That means that I just forgot to give the skeleton a toughness. So we're going to go to the skeleton warrior unit here, and we are going to give him a toughness. So we'll go to his AI stats and we'll set his toughness to 2-man. And let's just make sure we actually have 2-man as a toughness. Good, there. So 2-man is a toughness. For our focus override projector map, we will want to be overriding the color red on our skeleton, and we will be overriding it to our focus light projector red boss. We can save that, and now what we want to do is when we're fighting him or targeting him, which is here, we basically want to make an override map. So to do that, I will make a color override dictionary. And when we target a unit, handle set target, we're going to create the new color override dictionary. So our color override dictionary equals new dictionary of string material. We just want to reset it basically. Actually, you know what? Would it maybe be easier just to clear. And then we want to grab the character unit's toughness. So if the character unit dot character unit lowercase dot my character stats dot my toughness, and this is a nullable value, I believe, does not equal null, then we want to attempt to make a color override dictionary out of that. So we will also want to know that the toughness dot my focus projector override map also does not equal null. And you know what, that's it. It just needs to not be null, because then it's going to loop through, and if it doesn't have any members, then it just won't do anything. So then we want to loop through all of those things. And set the override dictionary. Good. So then in the set material call now, the first thing we want to do is check if our color override dictionary contains the value that we're looking for. Otherwise, we're going to do this stuff right here. So if it does, then the override dictionary contain the color, and this will come from the color override dictionary. Okay, and that should do it. That should allow mob toughness to properly override values based on the color that we got returned. And this allows us to have like hero units that are friendly as well. So basically, like any two-man unit, what we can do is override green with like a red green hero unit, for example, and we could have like a green with like a blue or violet inside line as well. So let's press play and test this out. Actually, you know what I'm going to do first? I'm just going to go to File, and I'm going to save everything because we made a change to a scriptable object. And in Unity, if the editor crashes and we haven't gone File Save, we lose all changes to scriptable objects. So let's not lose those changes. And now we can load up the game, and I can load up my tester. And I'm just going to nuke this skeleton here real quick. And then I'm going to heal myself. And then I am going to wander over, and the boss does not have his toughness. So that's interesting. Let's go look at him and look at the skeleton warrior unit clone here and check his stats, and he has a toughness. So let me just confirm the 2-man toughness. He has double the normal stamina, so I think perhaps the unit toughness just wasn't applied to him. So that's potentially an issue with the spawn node. Let's just go into the unit spawn node. So we do send in toughness. It looks like we're actually only sending in toughness on a manual spawn. It looks like we're not taking it into account. So let's see here. The toughness is gotten from the character stats, which we don't know until we've instantiated the prefab. We set the toughness to null here. I think we only want to do that though if the unit's toughness isn't already null. So how about if the character stats dot my toughness does not equal null and our toughness unit spawn node, and this toughness value that we received was null. So basically, if we received a null toughness and the unit didn't already have a toughness specified, then we're allowed to blank it out. Otherwise, we should just allow it to stay at whatever it is. So we'll let that compile. And let's try that again. And the skeleton still only has 1900 hit points. So let's see if we can figure out what's happening here, basically. I think we need like a debug message right here letting us know that let's see. Setting toughness to null on game object plus spawn reference dot name. Okay, and let's go to the character stats toughness value. Find all references to it. Let's find all references to unit toughness. And let's log a message letting us know that we're trying to find the unit toughness. And if we found it, then let's let us know that we found the unit toughness. And let's try running that again and see if we can figure out why our skeleton is not getting his unit toughness set properly. Okay, so we're going to pause this. We're going to clear everything here, heal up our character. Then let's go over and spawn the skeleton by getting close to it. So we found the unit toughness and we set it, but now apparently we're setting the unit toughness to null. Oh, you know what? I totally did that wrong here. Basically, we need to make sure that the character's unit toughness is null. And that's pretty much it. if the character's unit toughness is already null, then we can set the toughness to whatever, null or otherwise. That should allow our skeleton to spawn at the right toughness, and we should finally be able to see the cool boss projector on the ground underneath him. Okay, there we go. Level 19, 3,800 hit points, and I properly see a beautiful purple underline underneath the boss. And if I move back out of his hitbox range, he moves forward now. Wow, that's gorgeous. Oh yeah, oh that's showing up extremely nicely. Okay, very cool. I am liking that. That's good enough for this episode. We now have a beautiful little indicator that can show up on the ground underneath the boss to let us know that, yeah, this guy is definitely the boss. And the boss's hitbox is working properly. I fixed the code last time, so basically his hitbox is 3/4 the size of his collider, and so you can actually see now, basically, like if I try to hit him from here, it won't work. I actually have to get like so he's inside of my hitbox pretty much. Let's just demonstrate that again real quick. So basically, because the boss is a big dude and he can swing his sword, he can hit me at this range, but I can actually hit him at a much smaller range. So we'll wander up and we'll watch that. So see how I can't hit him because I'm way out here? I actually have to move to like right inside this purple line before he's finally inside of my hitbox. So this is really cool because this is very realistic. A big guy like that has a bigger reach and it's showing up perfectly on the ground. Awesome. So finally got that done. Took a little while, a bunch of trial and error, but we made it through, and I sincerely hope you enjoy that. This is just a really cool feature that I decided to add at the spur of the moment, and it's turned out pretty good so far. I don't know what I'm going to do when Unity starts the URP because apparently projectors aren't compatible with it, but I'll deal with that at that time. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you like the video, don't forget to thumbs up the video, leave a note in the comments, or subscribe to the AnyRPG YouTube channel, and I will see you next time.